Well, good afternoon. It is the 18th of April, and this is your cousin Sherry with the Quite Trippy podcast. So, what are we going to go through today? We're going to do a little bit of Corona, Wuhan, CCP flu. We're going to do a little bit of Q posting and one classic poem, Paul Revere's Ride. So, yeah, I've been taking a little bit of time off of doing videos because it's just overwhelming, the amount of information, but also the amount of people putting it out. And I didn't really have a niche, so to speak. So I thought I'd let the pros do their work. Leave it to the pros, as they say. Now, I did do an interview with the Vice magazine, but I think it's like Vice documentary or something like that. They were doing something on Q. I know they were running around approaching a lot of people about it, and I thought that I could give them some perspective on somebody who's mostly newly awakened. If you consider 3 years newly awakened, although there are people waking up every minute, and I'm hoping that I can teach some of you. But also, I know that they were asking Amazing Polly to do an interview, and they don't need to have their names dragged through the mud. I don't have a name yet, so I gave an interview coming from the perspective of a Sandy Hook resident, somebody who doesn't necessarily believe every conspiracy theory, but still has questions. And I hope that it's not too much of a hit piece when it comes out. But we'll see. Hope that Lee Adams did a good job. He did. I did manage to ask him the question, why don't they ask the Q question to the president? And he told me that he would be afraid to. Now, he didn't really say what specifically he would be afraid to do. Open up a can of worms, I guess. Didn't want to be the one. But he did admit that they do know about Q, and just didn't want to have too much attention called to himself. But he was a good guy, and I hope it was a good article. We'll see. So, now, as far as Q posts go, I'll just go over the ones from yesterday and today. That kind of darkened. Oh, let's see. So, starting from 17th, the 17th started with a video about hydrochloroquine, azithromycin, and this is a Twitter post. So for post number 3976 at 12:23 p.m. yesterday, we've got it says worth tracking Q, and the post is an interview with Laura Ingram and Dr. Stephen Smith, an infectious disease specialist, on using hydrochloroquine, using the combo to treat COVID-19 patients. And he says it's an absolute game changer. I think this is the beginning of the end of the pandemic. I'm very serious. And again, put all links below. Just another person saying he's had success with this combo. It's something that just as many people as can talk about it is good, because all of the so-called experts, all the people that we would have gone to in the past, are not surprisingly against it, and they want vaccines. So any organization that has some credibility in the eyes of the people is not pro hydrochloroquine, which is just mind-blowing, but we'll talk about that later. Now, let's go on to the next Q post, which is post number 3977 at 12:25 p.m. yesterday, and it's a Donald Trump tweet that says, hydrochloroquine and azithromycin taken together have a real chance to be one of the biggest game changers in the history of medicine. The FDA has moved mountains. Thank you. Hopefully they will both, it works better with a international journal of antimicrobial agents. It works better. Wait, he says H works better with A, International Journal of Antimicrobial Agents. So it's Donald Trump once again saying it, because if he wasn't saying it, he wouldn't be talking about it. Now, the next post number 3978, is a picture of Donald Trump. And it says, in reality, they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just in the way. Okay, the next post, 3979 at 12:26, yesterday was, it's a link, and it says, clear your mind, heal Q. And the link is to a YouTube video with some meditation music to it, and above and beyond. It's called Flow State, and it's really nice and relaxing. I don't know much about this, but I know that there's some sort of a frequency or something hertz that you're supposed to be listening to music at, and that's supposed to be healing in itself. Now, and that's in a whole nother can of worms, where we're listening to music at the wrong frequency, which agitates us. So listen to that link. I think that link is just a sample short version. They link to it again, and it's got a longer version. But there will be links in the description box. So yes, the next one is another picture. And the picture is half an Obama face, and it says, Renegade. Noun, a person who deserts and betrays an organization, country, or set of principles. Synonyms, traitor, defector, deserter, turncoat, rebel, mutineer. Q. Now, isn't it strange that Obama would pick the name Renegade as his Secret Service code name? I think Donald Trump's is Mogul. Renegade. Okay. Yeah, no surprise there. The next post, 3981, at 1 o'clock p.m. yesterday afternoon, is a status by SSG Payne, and it says, tomorrow, 17th of April, is my birthday. My birthday wish is simple. Please send me your video of yourself, no matter what part of the world you're from, but please tell me. We are the world, and we are watching. Where we go one, we go all. Best birthday gift ever. So it's a collection of videos. People have replied with a little birthday message to this guy. Not sure who he is. I am following him, and I do intend to make a video. Be belated birthday wish, but better late than never. And it says, together we win. Where we go one, we go all. Q. Okay, the next post, 3982, we are ready. It is a picture of the Punisher skull thing. That's another one of Q's symbols. And the name of the picture is called A Traitor's Justice. So, something's coming. And there is a Twitter link to Lou Dobbs' status, and that status says, FBI corruption. John Solomon reports says indictments may be coming this week in the FBI's corrupt handling of the sham Russia collusion investigation. So you can listen to that by clicking the link below. And Q says, together we win. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Oh, it's underneath. It says we are ready. And then in the kill box it says set 1, mission good, Q. So this talk is not atypical for Q, talk that we are not meant we're not meant to understand. Yeah, so I'm not even going to try on that one. But hopefully, fingers crossed, there's something going on that we will see, and maybe it'll be some justice. Maybe it'll be a traitor's justice. Now the next post, 3983, is the American flag, and it just says America.png, and there's nothing remarkable about the flag except for its beautiful, remarkable self. And so that's it for that one at 7:31 p.m. yesterday, and then we get 10:19 p.m. Q responds to U.S. military. So there is a greetings from Maryland, D.C. Greetings from Maryland, D.C., Hawaii, and beyond. Where we go, when we go off. Next video is a military guy, and he's saying a little poem about all the places where, just an inspirational thing. Greetings. So the next post is still from yesterday, and it's a flat field, and it says harvested cornfield JPEG. And if you don't know, there's a whole big thing about the corn being harvested. Some people think it has to do with James Comey and him coming to justice being served to him. Some think it has to do with Hillary Clinton's emails. But let's click on the link below it to see. The link below it is another link to the Above and Beyond video, the rotations video. This is a 2-minute 41-second video with great sounding meditative music, and so I think that Q is telling us maybe we need to listen to it. It'll be good for us to relax. If you could spend a few minutes a day just reflecting and maybe wishing and putting your good vision of the world and your hopes for other people and the protection of other people, you want to call it prayer, meditation, whatever, but taking a couple of minutes out there to calm yourself down, listen to this music, do it. That's what I say anyhow. That's what I think it says. Now the next one is from yesterday at 10:27 p.m. and it says, it's a question that Q's answering. It says, ex-military here, Q. Please don't let us down. We were willing to die then and still willing to die now. Do us proud, please. And Q says, for God and country, brother. Q. So that's nice. I like to see him respond to people. And today at 1:30 p.m., it's a post 3987, and he's simply, there's simply a picture, and it doesn't have a title, and there's 2 lanterns in the picture by a window, looking like it's taken from a widow's peak, which brings us to today's date, which is April 18th. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. It's the Paul Revere's Ride poem. So when I first saw this, I made the connection, the 2 if by sea connection, and then I read the poem and I said, today's the anniversary of that, of Paul Revere's Ride. And I will read that to you now. By Henry Wadsworth Longfellow in he lived from 1807 to 1882. Listen, my children, and you shall hear the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, if the British march by land or sea from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church Tower as a signal light. 1 if by land and 2 if by sea, and on the opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up and to arm. Then he said good night with muffled oar, silently rowed to the Charlestown shore, just as the moon rose over the bay, where swinging wide at her moorings lay the Somerset British man of war, a phantom ship, sorry, ship with each mast and spar, across the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hulk that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile, his friend, through alley and street, wanders and watches with eager ears, till the silence around him he hears, the muster of men at the barrack door, the sound of arms and the tramp of feet, and the measured tide of the grenadiers, marching down to their boats on the shore. Then he climbed to the tower of the church, up the wooden stairs with stealthy tread, to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from their perch. On the somber rafters that round him made masses and moving shapes of shade, by the trembling ladder, steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, where he paused to listen and look down a moment on the roofs of the town, and the moonlight flowing over all. Beneath, in the churchyard, lay the dead in their night encampment on the hill, wrapped in the silence so deep and still that he could hear, like a sentinel's tread, the watchful night wind as it went, creeping along from tent to tent, and seemed to whisper all is well. A moment he feels the spell of the place and the hour and the secret dread of the lonely belfry and the dead. For suddenly all his thoughts are bent on a shadowy something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay, a line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide like a bridge of boats. Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride, booted and spurred with a heavy stride, on the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse's side, now gazed on the landscape far and near. The impetuous stamped the earth, and turned and tightened the saddle girth, but mostly he watched with eager search the belfry tower of the old North Church, as it rose above the graves on the hill, lonely and spectral and somber and still, and lo, as he looks on the belfry's height, a glimmer and then a gleam of light. He springs to the saddle, the bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes till full on his sight a second lamp in the belfry burns. A hurry of hoofs in the village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, and beneath from the pebbles in passing a spark, struck out by a steed that flies fearless and fleet. That was all, and yet through the gloom and the light the fate of a nation was riding that night, and the sparks struck out by that steed in his flight kindled the land into flame with its heat. He has left the village and mounted the steep, and beneath him, tranquil and broad and deep, is the mystic meeting the ocean tides, and under the alders that skirt its edge, now soft on the sand, now loud on the ledge, is heard the tramp of his steed as he rides. It was 12 by the village clock when he crossed that bridge into Medford town. He heard the crowing of the cock and the barking of the farmer's dog, and felt the damp of the river fog that rises when the sun goes down. It was 1 by the village clock when he galloped into Lexington. He saw the gilded weathercock swim in the moonlight as he passed, and the meeting house windows, blank and bare, gaze at him with spectral glare, as if they already stood aghast at the bloody work they would look upon. It was 2 by the village clock when he became the bridge in Concord town. He heard the bleating of the flock and the twitter of birds among the trees, and felt the breath of the morning breeze blowing over the meadows brown. And one was safe and asleep in his bed, who at the bridge would be first to fall, who that day would be lying dead, pierced by a British musket ball. You know the rest, in the books you have read, how the British regulars fired and fled, how the farmers gave them ball for ball from behind each fence and farmyard wall, chasing the redcoats down the lane, then crossing the fields to emerge again, under the trees at the turn of the road, and only pausing to fire and load. So through the night rode Paul Revere, and so through the night went his cry of alarm to every Middlesex village and farm, a cry of defiance, not of fear, a voice in the darkness, a knock at the door, and a word that shall echo forevermore. For born on the night wind of the past, through all our history to the last, in the hour of darkness and peril and need, the people will waken and listen to hear the hurrying hoof beats of that steed and the midnight message of Paul Revere. well, that's a long one, but there's definitely some parts in there that give you chills. And the message that, you know, if it weren't for Q, if it weren't for the people that won't just take what they're given, that need to research and find truth for themselves, then they couldn't get the message out there that there's something going on. And I kind of think that's what we're all trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. And you know, the next phase, who knows what that is. But that was interesting. I'm gonna pause this for a second. Actually, I'm just gonna stop now, and I'm gonna do another video on Corona, just to get this one out, and I don't want to make them too long. So, thank you for watching. Give this a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe, you know, all that stuff. I'm not gonna bother you. I'm sure you've heard it 10 times already today. Thank you.